So I got this set of pickups from a small company to do a review, one-man operation, making some really cool pickups, and mostly doing higher gain stuff, and wanted to do a classic PAF set, which is kind of what I'm into, or I should say classic inspired PAF set. And we talked about it for a while, even talked on the phone, and then he sent me the set of pickups. I got them installed and ready to go. And I immediately ordered 2 more sets for 2 other guitars. What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Fossett. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to this demo and review of this set of, let's call them classic humbuckers from Route 30 pickups. Again, very small operation, and this set really just absolutely got me. This is the sound that I want to hear from a classic style humbucker. Now, the reason I'm kind of being a little wordy there and emphasizing classic style as opposed to like a PAF clone or something is because he's really not necessarily married to the need to make them vintage accurate. You know, there are some companies that are making them super vintage accurate exactly the way they made them before, and, you know, right down to the certain materials. And that's all well and good. I'm not necessarily criticizing that or saying that's bad, but he also said, you know, listen, there's other materials that work just as well. You know, that's kind of, it can be useful, but it's as much of a selling feature as it is a quality pickup thing. So these are not necessarily vintage spec, but the thing that they have that for me is incredibly special is the perfect clarity and articulation. Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that that's what I look for in pickups. I really look for clarity, presence. It's presence versus the EQ. It's not brightness, it's presence. When you hit a chord in particular with a humbucker, I want to hear the individual strings ring out. I don't want it to turn into that mud. Humbucker mud is a killer. Now, it can sound awesome for like big, bright, aggressive, chunky chords with a lot of gain, you know, high output, super compression, that can sound really good in its own right. But the thing that I like about pickups with clarity is that you can always back it off if you have to. You have a tone knob. I would rather have a set of pickups that's clear enough that I have to use the tone knob than to not have that same level of clarity on tap, if that makes sense. So, before we get into it any further, let's give you a full rundown of what these sound like. These are loaded into a Gibson SG. I'm playing into my Rivera Venus Deux, and we're going to start clean, neck, middle, bridge. All right, now I want to give these a shot using gain. So what I'm doing is I'm plugging into the same amp and I'm using a Keeley Super Phat Mod to add some crunch. And now I'm also going to play with the volume a little bit because these clean up really well, which is also not something that classic humbuckers are necessarily known for. Now I do have it wired 50 style, which helps. You know, there are a lot of modern Gibsons and things where, you know, with the pickups that they use, if you roll the volume off, it just kind of loses all top end and it doesn't quite get you where you want to be. So let's have a listen to this. All right, so this is the classic set from Route 30 pickups. Now these are using Alnico for magnets, and you know, magnets can certainly be wound different ways. I wouldn't necessarily say that one magnet gives you this, one magnet gives you that. Like it kind of does, but that's only part of the equation, which I think is really important. I've heard Alnico 2s that sounded really bright and clear. I've heard Alnico 5s that sounded kind of muddy. So it has to do with a lot of things, but there is kind of a, you know, certainly a good frame of reference there. But these are Alnico 4s, and I think they just work really well. Again, this is not hyperbole. I actually said I want 2 more sets for 2 different guitars because I liked them so much. I thought, well, there's these other 2 guitars. Which one would the set be best in? And I just thought, like, I'll just get some more sets because these are the sound that I look for from a humbucker. That they drive well. They don't sound overly piercing too when you add that drive in. They don't get hugely compressed, but they really maintain that articulation without sounding nasty or nasally or anything like that. So I am going to link to their website below. They did sponsor this review. Again, they sent me the first set of pickups. However, again, I bought the other sets afterwards. I am linking to their website. It's not an affiliate link. And again, small company, and they're not that expensive either, you know, and if you have any unique ideas about humbuckers or pickups, what you want, email him and he'll probably make it for you. This to me is also a great way to plug a hole in that huge theory of, like, you know, the Gibson custom buckers. Like, wow, well, the Gibson custom buckers, which are $600 or something stupid or whatever they are now, they don't sound as good as these. And for that, you're supporting a small business instead of supporting the building of the Gibson garage, you know, and your pickups are going to sound better. And I think it's just awesome. So let us know what you think. I'm Jack Fossett. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.